Hello again everybody and welcome back to my channel, Jersey Shore Pondscapes videos. My name is Chris. Today we're going to be talking about UV lights for your pond. So here we have two different lights here, by two different companies. One is a small unit. This is an older unit. I actually salvaged this off of a job, but I'm going to use it to show you. This is basically a unit from a company called Aqua. This is a 25 watt unit. There are unions that would go on here, and this unit is an 80 watt high output unit by a company called Pentair. So we're going to talk about the different types, how they work, and what they're used for. So a UV light basically is a unit where we pump water in one end, goes through the unit, and comes out the other end. It's really simple. Inside this unit, there is a quartz sleeve. It's like a glass sleeve, but it's actually a quartz sleeve. And inside that sleeve is a UV bulb. This right here is a 25 watt bulb that fits in that small unit. Okay. Now, these bulbs emit a UV light called UVC. So there's three types of UV. There's UVA, UVB, and UVC. And these three different lights, basically the difference is the wavelength of light that they emit. Now, UVA and UVB are what causes you to get a suntan or a sunburn when you're at the beach. Okay. UVC is basically absorbed by our Earth's atmosphere, so it really doesn't hit us. It is a stronger wavelength, and that is what we use inside these units. So what happens is, as the water passes through these units, the UV bulb inside shines the UVC onto the cells of different algae, bacteria, parasites, and it basically it kills them basically, okay, or disrupts the DNA in them, but it ends up killing them. So we can use these lights either as what's called a clarifier or a sterilizer. Okay, a clarifier is the most common thing for koi ponds, and basically what it does is it kills the algae cells in the water and keeps the water crystal clear, so your pond doesn't turn into pea soup. Okay, now it does this really effectively and really easily. It's really easy to kill algae in a pond, so these lights are really effective. I have one on every pond I build. It's a cheat, basically. It's an easy way of keeping your water clean, okay? As opposed to using algicides, which to me are nothing but a quick fix. If they work, they're going to clear up your pond a little bit for a little while, and then it's going to turn green again. And then you got to add more algicides, and it's just a constant battle of adding algicides. These units, you put them in, you plug them in, you're done. Okay, if you have a pond that is really green and you hook one of these up, I'm sure within a week or thereabouts, your pond will be clear, crystal clear right to the bottom. Okay, unless there's mud and silt and, you know, brown sediment in there. But if it's just algae alone that's turning your water green, this will do it. Now, let's just take one of these apart. I want to show you what's inside and how, you know, and how it basically works, okay? So basically we have the body of the unit, okay? This unit has unions on it, and it has a power supply, a ballast, okay? Now, this power supply screws in over here to a bulb, and it has a little connector that connects to the bulb. The bulb slides inside here, inside this quartz sleeve. And if I stand this up, this end cap here will come off. And inside, we basically have this quartz sleeve tube, okay? And it has all rubber seals in here to seal the water out. It has a rubber gasket here. Basically, this quart sleeve serves a major function as to keeping the bulb dry. Okay, so we don't want the bulb to hit the water. So this has a big rubber seal in here, keeps the bulb dry, and then this slides inside. On this particular unit, there's a special cup at the other end, the bottom of this unit, that the quart sleeve slides into, so it fits in nice and snug. We put the cap cover back on the top here, and then our UV bulb attaches to the power supply, and we can slide it right back down inside the unit. Now, you don't want to touch these bulbs with our fingers, okay? The oils and stuff from our fingers could get on there and basically shorten the life of the bulb. Now, the other thing is, we do not want to turn these units on, plug them in, and look at this bulb, okay? It is UV. It will affect your eyes, okay? If you plug these things in, I mean, occasionally I'll kind of pull one out of the unit a little bit, plug it in to see if it's working, and then I'll put it right back down, or I'll unplug it. But don't stare at it, all right? You will be seeing spots, all right? It is dangerous for your eyes to be looking at these lights for a long period of time. All right, so that's basically what a UV is, how it works. It's pretty simple, actually. So, you know, whether it's a big unit like this or a smaller unit, they all basically are set up the same way. Now, units like this is a 25 watt unit. From there it goes to a 40 watt unit, which is basically the length of this one here, okay? And then they go up in increments of 40 watts. So you have a 40 watt unit, then you have an 80 watt unit, 120 watt unit, 160 watt unit, and so on and so forth. Now, the wattage of these units is basically how we size these for your pond. Now, there's a couple things that we need to consider when we're trying to figure what size light we need for our pond. One is going to be, I mean, not only the size of the pond, but the flow rate that goes through here. Okay, what size pump are we connecting these to? In order to kill a lot of these bacteria, parasites, and algae cells, that cell requires what's called a dwell time. It's the amount of time that that particular pathogen is exposed to the UV light inside here. The faster you pump the water through here, the less exposure it has to the light. Thus, the less effective the light is, okay? So, some cells are harder to kill than others, okay? They're more complex. Algae is really simple to kill. So, it does not require a long dwell time. But there are some viruses and some parasitic protozoan parasites that require a lot more dwell time. So, you know, a light like this, I can run 6,000-7,000 gallons an hour through here and clear your pond of algae in no time. But at that rate, I'm never going to kill any kind of parasites, you know, or some viruses and some bacteria. So we need to slow that down. It may be, you know, 500 gallons an hour, 600-700 gallons an hour. And I'm not going to get into all that because every company is a little different, but there is information out there from every company that they put out as far as flow rates through their units and what it effectively can kill at that particular flow rate, okay? So for us, for koi ponds and water gardens, we're really not concerned so much about sterilization because we have such a big body of water. If it's indoors in, say, a saltwater fish tank, you have a 55-gallon fish tank, and you put on a unit like this, and you put on, you know, a 400 or 500 gallon per hour pump on this thing, you're going to have complete sterilization in that water. But in a koi pond where we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 10,000 gallons of water, to pump 500, 600 gallons an hour through it, we're never going to turn that body of water over fast enough through this unit to make it effective. Okay, so sterilization in a koi pond is possible, but it's going to be extremely expensive. You know, basically we use them as clarifiers to kill the algae. Really easy, okay? You can put a 40-watt bulb, 40-watt unit on a, you know, 2,000-3,000 gallon pond, it'll clear it. Now granted, if I put an 80-watt unit on that pond, it'll clear it faster, okay? But it'll do the job. Algae is easy to kill. So the amount of time that particular cell has through this is what's going to make this more and more effective, okay? So the flow rate is important on these things. So otherwise, it's really a pretty simple unit. It's really pretty easy. The water comes in one end, comes out the other, and the UV light in the middle burns the cells and keeps the water clear, okay? That's all it is. Now, these lights typically on your filter system are going to run 24/7. Okay, constantly. Leave them on all the time. As long as there's water flowing through this unit, the light should be on. If you unplug your pump, I unplug my power to the UV light as well. Okay, reason being, if the UV bulb in here is on for a long period of time and there's no water flow through here, it gets hot. The bulb will heat up and it shortens the life of the bulb. So, you know, the water helps to keep it cool and you'll get much more life. Now, how long does the bulb last? Typically, you could probably get close to 2 years out of them. All right, now I say that close to 2 years. Every spring, I change the bulbs in my UV lights for my clients. So come March, April, I open up a pond, I change the UV bulb. We have no issues with it all year, okay? If I did not change this bulb last spring, and this spring I come to open up the pond, and I open this up, I plug it in, and I look at it, and it's on, I'm going to say, okay, your bulb is still good. I stick it back in. Sometimes, pretty often, by July, August, in the hot summer, I'll have the clients call me and say, hey, my pond doesn't look quite as clear as it normally does, you know, and it's the bulb, okay? We need to put a new bulb in. So, you know, if I don't replace it every year, you definitely should replace it every other year. But the trick is with these, it's like a fluorescent tube in a you know, fluorescent light in your house or office. It's on, but the older they get, the weaker they get. Okay, and the weaker they get, the less effective it is. So for that reason, every year, you know, these bulbs can cost, you know, roughly anywhere from $75 to $125 once a year, and you're done. You don't have to worry about it. But again, you can stretch it out longer. It just depends on the size of the pond and the flow rate through it, and how you know, how much the bulb has weakened in time as to how effective it's going to be. Okay, so yeah, that pretty much sums up these lights. I don't want to get too crazy about it. I just want to tell you, you know, a little bit about it. Another thing I want you to look for too, one last final thought. Some of these manufacturers, such as Aqua, okay? Now Aqua's a great product, all right? They are a little more expensive, but they're a great product. They work very well. So does this Pentair. This used to be a company called Emperor Aquatics. It was bought out by Pentair. It's basically the same units, but these two are units I use all the time. I have 100% faith in any of these things. These are both great units. The only thing I don't like so much with the Aqua lights, once you get over 40 watts, as I was saying before, it goes in increments of 40. So a 40 watt unit, then there's an 80 watt unit, 120 watt unit, 160 watt unit. In Aqua, you have a 40 watt unit, which is 4 foot long. If you buy an 80 watt, it's basically two 40 watts put together. So you have two tubes. 120 watt would be three 40 watt units put together. So it's 3 tubes. And so on and so on and so on. They're expensive. All right, they're expensive units. They work great, mind you. They do work great, but they're expensive. But what I don't like about them is now every year you need to buy 3 bulbs. All right, maybe sometimes your quart sleeves get really dirty, and now you need to buy 3 quart sleeves. Okay. Now, these units come in what's called these high output units. So you can see the difference in the thickness, of the tube in this unit, right? It's basically like a 5-inch tube, where these is like a 2-inch, okay? A 40 watt unit is the same size. It's the same 2-inch. In the Pentair, it's a little bit bigger. It's like a 2.5-inch. Now, not only the fact that you would have to, for an 80 watt unit in Aqua, it's 2 tubes. So it's 2 bulbs every time, it's 2 quart sleeves, and so on as you get bigger and bigger. These units, this is an 80 watt unit right here. It's 1 bulb. It's a high output bulb, okay? This unit has 80 watt. It has 120 watt, which is just a little bit bigger, okay? And they have 150 watt. Now these units are much cheaper, and it's 1 bulb and 1 simple ballast to connect it. So to me, it's real easy, and I like just having to change 1 bulb. And it's a bigger unit. But the other thing with it to me is, and I'm sure there's science about this, but this is just me. If I have a 120 watt unit, or say 160 watt unit, okay, 3 tubes or 4 tubes of 40 watts each, you're getting a long dwell time because you're going through 1 tube of 40 watts and then another tube of 40 watts and then another tube of 40 watts. All right, so you're getting 120 watts, but it's only 40, 40, and 40. All right, it's like walking into a room at your house. You have 3 rooms in your house and you all have a 40 watt bulb in it. You walk in one room, you walk out, you walk in the other room, you walk in the other room. Yeah, you have a longer exposure to the light, but it's not that intense. Where in this one, you're walking into one room that's 80 watts, okay? So it's kind of like walking into 3 rooms with 40 watts, or walking into one room with 120 watts, okay, or 150, 160, whatever, okay? So I just want to kind of show you the point that I'm making, okay? To me, rather than 3 rooms of this, I want 1 room of that, right? Makes some sense, right? Okay, so just something to think about. But otherwise, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Also, the quart sleeves inside here, please make sure they're clean. If they get dirty, they are not allowing that light to pass through them, okay? Thus the light is not going to be effective. Sometimes I've checked, people call me, say my pond's turning green, I don't think the UV bulb is good, I may need a new bulb. I go over there and I slide the bulb out, it's shining great. I pull this apart, I pull that quartz sleeve out, and it could be covered in, like if you have well water, it could be rust or iron, stuff that oxidizes on the quartz sleeve, and it covers it, and then the light doesn't get through, okay? So the other thing too, just check on your bulb, okay? Sometimes the bulb is in the unit and I'll just pull it out a little bit to check it, and when this bulb is on and it starts to get weaker, it gets weaker in the middle. So this end can be bright, this end can be bright. So if you just pull it out a little bit and look at it, you might say, hey, it's bright, this bulb is shining great. But if you pulled it out the rest of the way, the whole middle here is going to be really faint. Okay, and then brighter back on the other end. So that's definitely going to affect the quality of how well it works. So again, don't look directly at these bulbs, all right? Try not to touch them. I'm only touching the end cap, okay? I'm not actually touching the glass, the bulb itself. And, make sure that the quartz sleeves stay clean. Other than that, I think you're all set. Thank you for watching the video. I hope it helped you out a little bit. Please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, it helps me out. I'm going to be making a ton of videos for you. And check out my website, pondscapesandmore.com. You'll see a lot of pictures of work and ponds I've built in the past. So thank you very much, I appreciate it. We'll see you again soon. Take care.